Hello, welcome to my video. What are some common facts that people believe to be true, even if the existing evidence states the contrary? A lot of people think they can burn belly fat by doing crunches or slim their arms down by doing push-ups, but targeted fat loss isn't possible, and there's no evidence to suggest it is. Yeah, ab workouts just build up your core muscle and burn calories. The kitchen is where you lose the belly fat. You can tap a block to see if it is loose in Jenga, which is stated quite explicitly in the rules, and frick you everyone who said I couldn't. The most violent arguments I've had have been convincing patients with a viral cold that they don't need antibiotics. A person drowning is not likely to be flailing wildly and yelling like in the movies. Drowning can often happen with mostly silence, especially with kids. Read up on the signs. It might save a life. I was drowning and lost consciousness when I was 5. I was told I barely made a sound. I went under, sucked in lungs full of water when I tried to cry out in surprise and blacked out. If it wasn't for my dad's instincts and quick action, I'd be dead. Cracking your knuckles too often will give you arthritis. Nope, no conclusive study has ever backed this up. It just releases the gas from the synovial fluid in your joints, which is neither good nor bad. There is in fact a guy who spent 60 years cracking the knuckles on his left hand twice daily, and there was no resulting difference in his hands. That if you touch a baby animal, like a bird or rabbit, its mother will neglect it, and it will die. That is a myth. It was just a way for parents to get their kids to leave baby animals alone. Yeah, a few weeks ago, a baby bird fell out of its nest in our backyard. It survived and my dad was going to put it out of its misery until I told him that this myth wasn't true. We put it in a cardboard box on the table closest to its tree with some food and water and just left it alone. Its parents found it the next day and were bringing it food, and within a couple of days, it was gone. The most people only use 10% of their brain's capacity thing. Utterly ridiculous. The brain is a giant, metabolically expensive, staggeringly complex structure. Why on earth would our bodies grow something like that and then not use it? Edit. A lot of people in this thread have some very strange ideas about brains. Yes, if all your neurons fired at once, that would be extremely bad. The thing to bear in mind is that different areas and structures of the brain are highly specialized for certain tasks. Talking about an overall brain capacity is misleading. There are no unused areas of the brain. That shampoo has to make bubbles to be effective. Bubbles are artificially added just to let you know that you are doing a good job at cleaning your hair, and because you wouldn't buy a shampoo that doesn't foam now, would you? Also, it doesn't have to taste that bad. Not that I tried. Flavors and vomitives are added to prevent accidental poisoning. That Einstein was a bad student and was bad at math. It's just not true. He got average high marks and was really just disdainful of the structure of school. And he was good at math. Physics is like 90% math. I get why people share it. It's to make struggling students feel better about themselves. But can't we tell them about something else instead of lying? Just show them the salary of a plumber or welder compared to their teacher's salary. That ought to cheer them up. Edit. Thanks for the award, and also I'm silencing notifications as I woke up to 50 replies this morning. Your heart stops when you sneeze. If the police arrest you and do not read your rights, the case will automatically be thrown out. That only invalidates any interrogation they conduct. To piggyback, that police have to read you your Miranda rights. Miranda only comes into play for questioning. If they don't want to ask you any questions, they don't have to read Miranda. When you swallow gum, it stays in your body for 7 years. Cutting your facial hair makes it grow in thicker. I had a full-on argument with an individual who firmly believed that genetics played no possible role in hair growth whatsoever. I have never been more perplexed or angry in my entire life. Sincerely, bald at 25. I'm a master esthetician and I've studied hair growth, and I can confirm, shaving/waxing/plucking does not make more hair grow thicker or longer. The reason for this misconception is when you shave, it makes the tip of the hair blunt, so when that protrudes from the follicle, it appears to be thicker. The only change in hair texture/thickness/length/etc occurs in the papillae, hair root, which is completely determined by hormones. Edit. Hey y'all. As much as I love talking about my field, I got a turn in, but consider contacting a local esthetician for your skin/hair questions. People still think an undercover cop has to tell you they're a cop. How does that even make sense? Months of preparations ruined on the first day because someone happened to ask the magic question. Cops are allowed to lie to you, and they will pretend to be your friend to get what they need from you. Side note, even if you're innocent of a crime, the first words from your mouth should be "I want a lawyer," and you don't provide any information until you have one. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. I scrolled fairly far down and did not see what came to mind for me. A lot of people think blood is blue inside of the body and that it only appears red because of the oxygen or something in the air. I tried to explain this to a past coworker who was a former nurse and she wasn't having any of it. Turns out a lot of otherwise smart people believe that with no evidence, but blood is always red, just darker at some points of circulation in the body. Chicken is cooked when it is no longer pink and the juices run clear. In fact, it's cooked when it hits 75°C, 165°F, and that's it. What it looks like depends on the cut. Chicken breast often has significant pink in it when it hits the temperature, which is why most people complain about dry, boring chicken, because they overcook it. On the flip side, wings can look cooked when they aren't, which is why they are a major source of food poisoning. The most important thing I learned working in a commercial kitchen. Myth: the pool is definitely clean. It has such a strong chlorine smell. Fact: a strong chlorine-like smell, like the kind you associate with public pools, is actually an indication that the water is not chemically balanced. It might even be a sign that the pool needs more chlorine. Source: Edit. Lots of people commenting about how this smell comes from pee, and yes, you're partly right. However, there's also ammonia in sweat, so it can contribute to the smell too. The source linked above actually explains chloramines and pool smell quite well, if you'd like to understand this phenomenon better. Carrots make you see better. It was made up by the British Army when they got their new guidance system. There is no requirement to wait an hour after eating before swimming. That your political party is 100% correct and that the other is 100% wrong. There is no scientific evidence to show GMOs are any worse or better than non-GMOs. All they do is protect against pesticides and get a bigger yield. That strawberries are actually berries and watermelons aren't. A dog or cat having a wet/dry/cold/warm nose doesn't mean shit. It's an old wives' tale. Now if there's coughing, sneezing/or discharge from the nose or eyes, then take your pet to vet. Sugar rushes. Some studies were done, and it's mainly just little kids acting like little kids, and their parents expecting them to act up after having sugar from decades of saying that's what is supposed to happen. No evidence actually points to them being any more worked up. It's something I've brought up and been ridiculed for it, and despite saying just Google it, I'm still perceived as wrong. Video games cause real-life violence. There have been several studies disproving this. The Earth is flat, even though every other planet we have ever seen is not in fact flat. The fact that resistant and proof, i.e. water resistant and waterproof, is two separate things and are not the same. There is so many people that believe them to be the same. That the flu vaccine causes you to get the flu. I hear this every single year. I got the shot and 24 hours later I got the flu. That Muslims have a completely unique deity named Allah. He's exactly the same entity as the Judeo-Christian god, Jehovah. Allah is the Arabic word for God. Arabic-speaking Christians pray to Allah too. People believe Listerine is a more effective mouthwash because of the taste it leaves in your mouth, but actually gargling with warm salt water is a more effective way to kill the bacteria in your mouth. Some people believe the word nuclear to be pronounced as nuclear, despite the lack of a U vowel between the C and L within the word. I just shoehorned that response into this post because it sort of doesn't belong here, but still gets on my nerves. McDonald's hot coffee lawsuit is an example of a frivolous lawsuit. McDonald's was told multiple times by the health department not to serve coffee so hot. Special relativity doesn't actually say that traveling faster than the speed of light will allow you to travel back in time. Instead, what it does say is that if you were to travel from point A to B faster than the speed of light, then it is possible for an observer to observe you traveling from B to A. You don't not lose 90% if your body heat through your head. If you could, you should be able to wear a knit cap and go outside naked in the winter and make naked snow angels in your neighbor's yard and not get severe hypothermia that results in a rather embarrassing trip to the emergency room. Hypothetically. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and hit the bell for more content.